Lucy's tears. The rain drummed softly on the corrugated iron roof as Lucy sat by the window, staring into the misty fields of sugarcane stretching endlessly beyond her village. The smell of wet earth and burning firewood drifted in, mixing with the scent of her mother's cooking. The familiar sounds of her home should have comforted her, but tonight, they only tightened the knot in her stomach. Tomorrow, she would become a wife. Sad face, she clenched the letter in her hands, a crumpled piece of paper bearing the crest of the University of KwaZulu-Natal. She had been accepted. A full scholarship. Her years of studying late into the night, reading by the weak glow of a paraffin lamp, had finally paid off. But the weight of her family's expectations crushed her dreams before they could take flight. "Lucy," her mother called from the kitchen. "Come and help me with the stew." She folded the letter hastily, slipping it into the pocket of her faded skirt. As she entered the small, smoke-filled kitchen, her mother barely looked up. There was no warmth in her eyes, only resignation. She was the one who had first broken the news. "Your father has accepted an offer. You are to be married." The man was old enough to be her father. A wealthy businessman from the city, looking for a young, obedient wife. His cows had arrived in the village 2 weeks ago, fat, healthy beasts that had made her father beam with pride. A price had been placed on her future, and the decision had been made. Lucy stirred the pot absent-mindedly, her mind racing. Was this to be her life? A stranger's wife? A silent figure draped in expensive fabric, trapped in a house she did not choose. The thought made her chest tighten with despair. Later that night, she slipped out of the house. The rain had stopped, but the air was thick with moisture. She walked quickly toward the small, dimly lit hut at the edge of the village where her grandmother, Grandma Gladys, lived. The old woman was waiting for her, as if she had known Lucy would come. "You are troubled, my child," Grandma said, motioning for her to sit on the mat beside the fire. Tears stung Lucy's eyes. "I got in, Grandma. They gave me a scholarship. I could leave tomorrow." Grandma sighed, stirring the embers. "But your father has already accepted the bride price." Lucy nodded, biting her lip. "What if I don't want this life?" The old woman was silent for a moment before she reached into a small wooden box, pulling out a yellowed envelope. "I, too, once had dreams, child. But my father chose a husband for me. I had no choice but to accept. But you—" She placed the envelope in Lucy's hands. "Maybe you still do." Lucy opened it, her fingers trembling. Inside were a few old banknotes, savings from years of selling herbs and trinkets at the market. "It is not much," Grandma said, "but it is enough for a bus ticket to Durban." Hope and fear warred within Lucy's heart. If she left, she would bring shame to her family. If she stayed, she would betray herself. Grandma touched her hand gently. "The world is cruel to women who choose their own path. But it is also kinder to those who dare to fight for it." A decision was made in that moment. Lucy rose before dawn, packing only the essentials, her books, her ID, and the letter. As the first rays of sunlight kissed the hills, she walked past the kraal where her father's new cows rested, past the fields where she had once played as a child, and toward the dusty road where the bus would come. She did not look back. The journey to Durban was long, and the city overwhelmed her. Bus ride. The sounds, the lights, the rush of people, it was another world. But she had no time to be afraid. She found shelter in a student dormitory, offering to clean rooms in exchange for a bed. The next day, she stood in the admissions office, her hands shaking as she presented her scholarship letter. She was in. For the next 3 years, Lucy fought to survive. She worked late shifts at a restaurant, studied through exhaustion, and lived off cheap bread and weak tea. There were nights she wanted to give up, but she refused to let the sacrifices made for her be in vain. One evening, as she walked home, she saw a familiar figure standing outside the dormitory. Her heart stopped. It was her father. He looked older, wearier. The pride that had once lit his eyes had been replaced with something else, regret. "Perhaps I looked for you," he said quietly. "For months." Lucy swallowed the lump in her throat. "I couldn't stay, father." He nodded slowly. "Your mother. She cries for you. Your husband never got his bride. I was never his." A long silence stretched between them. Then, to her shock, her father reached into his coat and pulled out a small parcel. "Your grandmother asked me to give you this." Lucy took it with trembling hands. Inside was a beaded bracelet, the one Grandma had worn for years. A silent message. A blessing. Her father sighed. "If this is the life you want, then live it well." Tears spilled down Lucy's cheeks. For the first time, she saw him not as the man who had sold her future, but as one trapped by the same traditions he had upheld. "I will, father." And she did. Years later, when Lucy walked across the graduation stage, she carried not just her own dreams, but those of every girl who had been told no. For every tear she had shed, a new future had been carved in its place.